What's happening, sports fans? How you doing? I am Kendrick, the sports guy. Good Wednesday to you, and I got a good one for you today. My guy, the young fella, Anthony Edwards, he's ruffling some feathers. Former 90's players again. He had something to say. You know, anytime you put a mic in front of the young fella's face, he's going to give you some material. We're going to talk about that in this segment. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click that follow button. Let me say this before I get into this segment. I am an Anthony Edwards fan. I said this in a segment I did a few months ago. I said two of my favorite current NBA players to watch is Anthony Edwards and Ja Morant. So I wanted to preface that before I get into this, because the young fella made a statement that had me like, come on, really? This is what we doing? This is, I don't know why the NBA and these new generation players, it's the only sport where they go at the older generations, but I digress. Well, Anthony Edwards spoke to Lane Florsheim of the Wall Street Journal, and he explained that Michael Jordan was the only player that really had skill from past generations. And this is what he said, and I quote, "I didn't watch it back in the day, so I can't speak on it," he said. "They say it was tougher back then than it is now, but I don't think anybody had skill back then. Michael Jordan was the only one that really had skill. You know what I mean? So that's why when they saw Kobe Bryant, they were like, oh my God. But now everybody has skill." Again, that's the quote that Anthony Edwards told the Wall Street Journal. Now, let me give you some background. Anthony Edwards was born in 2001. So by the time he probably really started watching basketball, he was probably 10. So that was only basically 13 years ago. And he says in this quote, he didn't watch, he didn't pay attention. So how you gonna say if you didn't watch, how you gonna say those guys weren't skilled? But let me name some skilled players. First of all, let me define what skill is, and I looked it up. Skill is the ability to use one's knowledge and readily in execution or performance, dexterity or coordination, especially in the execution of learned physical tasks. That's what skills mean. Now let me name some skilled players from the 1990s, young fella. Grant Hill, Allen Iverson, Penny Hardaway, Scottie Pippen, Rod Strickland, Kenny Anderson, Mitch Richmond, Tim Hardaway, Kevin Garnett, the late Kobe Bryant, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, Nick Van Exel, Rasheed Wallace, Clyde Drexler, Charles Barkley. Those were just a few that came off the top of my head. So for Anthony Edwards to say that Michael Jordan, and I'm an MJ guy. Most people, whoever know, my closest friends and sports buddies know, I'm an MJ guy. I don't cheerlead for him. I don't have to. You know, a lot of times, you know, his resume speaks for itself. But to say that MJ was the only skilled guy in the 90s and you didn't watch, Anthony Edwards, young fella, man, I love you, man, but you put your foot in your mouth with this one. There were plenty skilled players back in the 90s and the 80s as well. And I would say that I think they were more skilled now than this new generation. I would say that this new generation is more athletic, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're more skilled. I think the players were more skilled. Oh, I left out a name, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. He used to go by, Chris Jackson, one of the most skilled point guards to ever play the game. So, come on, young fella. Can we stop? Can we get this new generation of NBA players to stop always shooting darts at those that open the doors for them? And it's not nobody getting in their feelings. Just seems like a lot of times these young fellas don't respect the older NBA veterans that came before them. Again, I'm not saying that this new generation isn't more athletic, which I think they are. But I think there was some athleticism in the 90s and the 80s as well. It's just come a long way. But to say that those guys weren't skilled, I totally disagree with that. Now, I did read in an article on Bleacher Report that they have done studies that indicate an average NBA player in today is between 4 to 7% better than an average NBA player from a decade ago. Now, I would have to say define average. What are you comparing an average player of today? What is those analytics when you're saying average player today is 4 to 7% better than the average player of a decade ago? You gotta that can be subjective, and you gotta it has to be some some definition of that. And as well, it's an eye test too. I think at the end of the day, your eyes don't lie. I think when we can bring all the numbers and all that and compare the generations and the eras. But if you just look, your eyes, a lot of players passed the eye test. And a lot of the 90s players were very skilled. And I would say some of them were probably more skilled than some of these players. But I also say that this generation is more athletic. And I think that they're more on the athletic side than they are on the skilled side. So again, here we go. But again, I love me some Anthony Edwards. I think he's probably one of the most exciting players in the league today. But young fella, come on. Go back and watch some tape. Go watch some videos. You say you didn't watch, go back. There's a lot of vintage footage out there that you can pull up on YouTube and check it out yourself. So I'd like to know what you guys think about Anthony Edwards, throwing shade at the 90s generation, NBA players. Talk to me in the comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that follow button. I am Kendrick, the sports guy. We will see you on the other side and on the next report. I am out. Peace.